Welcome back to News Talk for this half hour. Tony Falchi is here. He's the Republican candidate for Oneida County Clerk and just 12 days away from the election. First of all, welcome to News Talk.
Thank you. Great.
And let's talk about at what point did you decide you wanted to be the next Oneida County Clerk?
Well, I got to the point where I was watching from the sidelines and seeing the different political races, and county clerk seemed to fit my particular set of skills the best because I've been in public, working with the public in customer service my whole life, and been a businessman for 25 years, and this office seemed to be the one with the best fit for me. It's a public service, a customer service office, and you need to have those skills to function properly. So at that point, I said, I was watching it, I was seeing it done. I felt it could be done better, and I said, I'm going to get involved. I think at some point of your life, everybody has to look and say, I want to do a little public service. At this stage, that's what I decided.
Incumbent Sandy DePerno will be our guest tomorrow, so she'll have a chance to respond. But what sets you apart from incumbent DePerno, and what would you do differently?
Well, she's been an employee of the county, a public employee for 30 years. So she has that perspective on the office and on her way of functioning. And I've been in private business. I've never been a politician. And I look at things a little bit differently. I think the office should be looked at from more of a business point of view, where you can, take those ideas and make that office function better, marketing-wise, advertising-wise. You need to make things like the Department of Motor Vehicle function at a better level, because that creates money for our county. It goes into our county general fund, and that general fund helps keep taxes down. So if you have someone in there with a business sense, I think it helps a lot.
You were mentioning some budget issues with the current operation. Touch upon that a little bit.
Yeah, currently, for the last 2 years, the current county clerk has missed her revenue budget by $1 million. In 2009, it was missed by almost $1 million, and in this year, it is up to $1 million and counting. So we're creating a $2 million deficit. Now, the revenue budget the budget has to be looked at as sort of a circular thing. Part of it is cost. Those are your fixed expenses. The other part is projected revenues, because this office is sort of unique in that it generates money for the county. So that's why I say it has to be looked at from a business point of view. You have to look at it on a quarterly basis at the very least and say, okay, here's where our numbers are. We're behind or we're ahead. Here's what we need to do to mitigate losses, to adjust. And that hasn't been done. So then at the end of the year, they look and they go, hey, we missed it by $1 million. Well, what happens is, and I'll show you how this comes into play, the county executive just did his budget. And it's a $65 million tax levy for Oneida County. That's the money we bring in. $54 million of that is Medicaid. That comes right off the top, which leaves us about $11 million and change to function with. When the county clerk misses her revenue by $1 million, that has a profound effect on the overall budget. So now the county executive and the county controller and our legislators have to turn to the taxpayers and say, okay, we need to make up $1 million loss. How do you do that? Either taxes or cutting services. And we're down to the bare bones now. It's getting to the point where you can't keep cutting. We're looking at layoffs of 70 people. It's unfortunate, but that's what's going to have to be done. So when a county clerk sets up a budget at the beginning of the year and says we're going to bring in $4 million and they only bring in $3 million, somebody has to ask why. Where's the money? Now, I know some of it is economy driven. That's a given. But there are other things that can be done to help reduce that. For instance, the current county clerk has a personal vehicle that she uses, and it's paid for by the DMV office, the county money, and there's gas involved. Over the last 3 years, it's been a $23,000 expense. Now, I know that's not going to wipe out $1 million cost, but pennies turn into nickels, nickels turn into dollars. You have to start somewhere. So I think you have to start looking at this office and saying, we have to tighten up the budget. We have to tighten up the way we're doing things. The first thing I do would be discontinuing the use of that car. She's going to come on and she's going to say, we've always had a vehicle. They've had a small van that they use to transport goods around. That's true. But what happens is they've morphed that into a luxury Ford Edge that she uses exclusively. She says no, but we had a debate a couple of weeks ago, and she showed up in the Ford Edge, paid for by the county, paid county gas in the vehicle. So you have to look at these things and say, we need to reduce, we need to cut back wherever possible. So that's some of the things we have to look at. We have to look at consolidating. We have satellite offices now, which I think are a great idea. All right? And I want to keep the satellite offices open, but I think they need to be run a little more efficiently. We have to cut back and see where we can maybe reduce some of the overhead in those offices to save money, because we can't afford the luxuries of the past. We can't afford mismanagement anymore.
All right. Tony Falchi, Election Day 12 days away, as I said. Incumbent Sandy DePerno will be here tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Good luck in your campaign trail, as we said, under 2 weeks away.
Yeah, it's getting close. Thank you.
All right. Tony Falchi, candidate for Oneida County Clerk on the GOP side. Adam is back with a Storm Tracker forecast right after this.